The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who just has a need for laughter. Welcome, Jacob.
Why, thank you. Let me use our co-host, a man who just found it very fascinating that Harley Quinn and Mercy were in a fight in this movie. Welcome, Drew.
It's an interesting little cat fight.
Wow.
The Catwoman wasn't involved.
That is true.
Anyway,
Oh, poor Plitten.
by this time he probably is.
Yes.
Before we get too far into this, we've got a trivia question to answer, which means I should have had this up already.
Womp, womp, womp.
Oh, me, oh, my. But yeah, the question was, while I'm bringing it up, what television series is World's Finest technically made a part of? I know you know, Jacob.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
So whenever you want to say it.
Superman the Animated Series Season 2.
Exactly. And we had two guesses on this.
Okay.
One of them was your cousin, Josh Adams.
Awesome.
And he said, the new Batman Superman Adventures. I don't think that's a show.
It's a block. It's a block.
It was a block, but it wasn't a show.
Yeah.
Although I said that, I think there was a new Batman Superman Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Possibly.
Way back in the day.
Yeah, way back in the day.
But yeah, this isn't part of that show.
No.
But getting it correct was PaulJPowers.com of Superman. When he said Superman the Animated Series, of course, he's from Retro Rewind podcast. Give them a listen.
Thank you, Paul.
So yeah, that is the trivia question for this week. I will be mentioning another trivia question at the end of this episode, so keep an ear out for that. And I will be posting that on Facebook. But anyway, Jacob, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Let's say that. Went on a date with my girlfriend on Saturday. Lucky, yes. Went on a double date with my brother and his wife, and so we had a great time eating out. Then we played putt-putt, and then we went to a singles gathering when we were here at the church, or not here at the church, at the church.
It's like we're not at the church.
We're not at the church. We're in Studio B.
Exactly.
So yeah, we and yeah, talk about it's just like great time. We'll get into the movie we watch. Really, just like whoa, mind blowing kind of film. Yeah, it's been pretty good. Sunday was good. Mondays are Mondays and Tuesdays are Tuesdays, and you finally get off and thank the Lord I'm off. But overall, the day's been the beginning of the week has gone pretty good. What about you, Drew?
I had a pretty good week. It's been still pretty busy, but I've enjoyed myself. Yeah, nothing too crazy going. Of course, we had that singles event at the church at game night. I played a lot of Farkle.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we watched that movie.
And you'd be like the last round, like what did you roll?
Amazingly is
amazingly.
What I did.
Let's just say that, just amazingly.
Yeah,
like, whoa, okay, this game's over.
It was one of those things where it's like, okay, I have like 1,500 points I need to get. We were talking about, okay, yeah, we're getting ready to watch the movie. We're going to have to call this game at some point because it doesn't look like we're going to be able to finish it before we need to, start cleaning up, watch the movie. All of a sudden, I roll my thing, and it's like, holy crap, that's 4 ones. That's 1,200 points. I'll roll again. Oh, look, that's a 5. That's 50 points. That's 1,250. I'll roll again. And I roll all 5 dice at one time. And I roll it, and I get another 4 ones. I'm calling this game. Y'all think y'all can beat that in 2 rounds and see how many points do I have? 8,050, 8,000 something or other. It's like, yeah, I think I won.
Yeah, pretty much. That was pretty epic.
I don't normally get that lucky.
Yeah.
That's just how
The dice rolled.
that night. I don't claim any sort of skill with that. It's just how it is. And yeah, other than that, I did work the switcher during church Sunday
Mhm.
morning,
I had to run camera 3, so
which
yeah,
was fun.
that's always interesting.
Color issues on camera 3. Not that was your fault.
Nope.
To some degree, I think it's because the director just would not quit messing with it.
That's sounds like right.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then of course Bible study Sunday night. We
Mhm.
had a good time there. Certain Goober was there
Oh yeah, Goober.
unexpectedly.
Yeah, I saw him at church, and it didn't dawn on me. It's like, wait, because my thought was, oh, he's gonna be gone because he has to be back where he's
Yeah.
stationed, but later on.
Exactly.
I think that day, like that morning or something, guys. So I was like, there's no way Earth Goober is gonna be there.
He's
That's-
Goober.
He's Goober. And I was like, oh, he's here. Why didn't I tell the guys?
Oh, I knew the minute I turned the corner.
Yeah.
Like literally, I turn the corner, see it's like, oh look, Goober's here. Great. I love the guy. Don't get me wrong. He's a great guy. He's got some issues,
Yeah.
but you just know it's going to take a little bit longer to get through Bible study when he's there.
That is true.
But anyway, I'm not trying to down talk anybody. It's
Right.
just it is what it is.
Yes.
So yeah, did that. Other than that, Jacob, what have you been watching?
Okay. So on Saturday we watched this. It's kind of a pseudo documentary about the life of C.S. Lewis.
And it is based on a play, I found out.
Oh, it's based on a play. I thought it was based on the book.
Well, it's based off a play that's based off the book.
Oh, okay. What was it? The most reluctant convent.
Yeah, convert.
Converts.
Not convent. That's
That's a different.
that's
totally
a different
story.
thing.
Converts. That was an incredible. If you can get a hold of it somehow, it's really very well done.
Yeah.
So, and then you roll into Sunday. You roll into Sunday, and we're over at Chase's house,
Yes.
and we watch this
Spy Family.
Spy Family, Spy X Family, whatever it's called.
It's pronounced Spy Family, but if you're Googling it, it's Spy X Family
Yeah.
because anime.
Yeah,
Get
that is
right down to
that
it
is true.
because it's anime. That's
That
why
is
it's
true.
named. It said that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm just like, what in the? It's if you're interested all in anime at all, you just go Google it.
Oh, yeah,
it's
it's-
interesting.
yeah.
I think it's 2 episodes currently that are dubbed. So
yeah, because it is a simuldub. It is on Crunchyroll.
okay,
I'm not going to say anything's on Funimation's app anymore because Animation's app is dying.
Hmm.
Funimation's app is dying. So just go to Crunchyroll. That's where all their stuff is going.
Hmm.
So go to watch Crunchyroll.
okay,
Go pay Crunchyroll instead of Funimation.
okay. So we did watch something else afterwards because
After I left.
after you left, so it was me, Chase, and Goober. I think you just want to call him Goober on this show.
That's the thing. I think we call so many people Goober,
That is true.
but he is the one proper noun Goober.
Yeah, he is Goober number 1. So we're sitting around trying to figure out what to watch, and Chase has this anime love affair with this one series. I know he loves it.
What did he force you to watch?
Space Battleship Yamato.
Yamato. Yes, I know of this. I've never watched it, but I know of Space Battleship Yamato.
Yeah, I think it was
It's
the
a classic space anime.
yeah, but it was the remake.
I hope the remake is good because remakes sometimes aren't.
Yeah, and Chase very vocally said he didn't like how they did a lot of different, but
Chase doesn't like modern
yeah,
stuff because
that is
he's
true.
looking at the old stuff.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to go with what you got, not what you didn't get.
Oh, I
I'm
agree.
saying that being well aware of something that's going to come up later in the
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly.
Maybe people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Exactly. But so yeah, we watched that, and I was like, wow, this is the most forced entry I've ever seen. Because it's literally a setup where all these space battleships are going into battle with the I can't name what the villains were because I only watched episode 1. Chase is talking about it the entire time, and
It's like, I'm trying to watch the show, Chase. Shut up.
yeah, please just let me enjoy the show and try to figure out what's going on. And it's literally, it's like, okay, the entire fleet gets decimated, and this one lone ship's will be like, oh, I'm going to defend the fleet as we leave. Granted, the entire fleet was demolished except for the flagship, and this
Except-
one lone goober thinks he's going to be like beat the entire armada.
Well,
He
it worked.
doesn't.
It worked for Captain Tyler.
That is true.
But he's Captain Tyler.
That is true. And so you have this.
That may be on a future TAS episode.
True. So, a side story to that is these other pilots are on a mission to find the certain item. They find certain item with a girl that is in a capsule. Granted, they don't take the girl, they just take the capsule. They didn't take the device. What? It's this like it's very bizarre how they get the main character into this. I'm like, okay. I'm not going to go into everything, but it was interesting. Let's say that.
Okay.
So, going forward,
Yeah. What else have you watched?
what else am I watching? If I can be so bold,
Or Brave?
or brave, or bold, or Batman.
Sorry.
So, a couple of years ago, I downloaded the first season of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the 1980s. So this would have been 86, I believe. Like 1986. Granted, the first 5 episodes it's 5 episodes. It's the pilot, just to introduce, be like, oh, Playmates is making these toys. Here's Turtles. And after watching the first 5 episodes, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Just like such great animation, and some of it's just freaking mind blowing. It's like, what the fudge is this? This is amazing. And so I watched I've watched it before, but then watching it again is just, oh my gosh, wow, this is so good. I mean, I as a kid, I'm like, wow, it's Turtles. When's the movie coming out?
Yeah. When's the Jim Henson movie coming out?
Which is there again,
The most
amazing.
expensive indie movie ever made.
Mm,
Literally.
So yeah, I watched that, and I continue to watch Kim Possible. I think I'm in season 2 now.
Right.
And so, speaking of Kim Possible, I found a new podcast to listen to. Being animation nerd like I am, we do an animation podcast. I've stumbled across this podcast called I Hear Voices by Christy Carlson Romano, aka Kim Possible, and Will Freely, also known as Ron Stoppel, also known as Batman,
Yes.
are doing a podcast where they interview voice actors.
Kim Possible and Batman in one podcast. That may
Yes.
be too much epicness.
That is true. The episode that I love to death, it's a more recent one, but they actually voiced an actor who is in this movie,
Okay.
Kevin Conroy.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, yes. But yeah, I really enjoy it. If you love animation, you love voice actors, yeah, go ahead and check out. It's really good. It's video and audio, and they're doing something really cool where they have children and adults draw characters, their own made up characters, set it into the show, and they let voice actors bring life to that character. So I thought it was a really interesting concept. So if you like animation, you like voiceovers or voice actors, or you're just a fan of Kim Possible or whatever, go check the podcast out.
All right.
That is all I've been watching and listening to. You?
Well, along with Most Reluctant Convert and Spy Family
Mm-hmm.
that you also watched,
Mm-hmm.
I saw another anime this week. There's only one episode of the dub out
Okay.
as of yesterday. I haven't checked today. And it is called Love After World Domination.
Okay. Interesting.
Picture, if you will, Power Rangers. The male is the Red Ranger.
Of course.
He has fallen in love with essentially this show's version of Scorpina.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And and she's kind of in love with him, but they're supposed to hate each other because they're on opposite sides of the conflict.
Okay.
So this is turned into Power Rangers version of Romeo and Juliet, and I absolutely love it. I only saw one episode, and it's hilarious for one thing,
Yeah.
but it would be cheesy and stupid if it weren't for the fact that about halfway through it, the Power Ranger team, in this case called Gelato 5, believe me, it makes sense.
Okay, Gelato 5.
Gelato 5, they go through their morphing sequence.
Okay.
And I do mean it is the going through the whole morphing sequence, including having the roll call at the end where they have to say, where they, you know what I mean, when like on Sailor Moon,
Yeah.
when at the very end of it she says, "In the name of the moon, I'll punish you."
Yeah.
Or no, it's like the whole thing from after the morphing sequence is done till after she does the pose. They, that's a Sentai thing that originated with Sentai, and they do the whole thing for all 5 members of this team, and it's a good minute that could have been easily cut, and they left it, and they did the whole thing because it's amazing for one thing, because it's the morphing sequence, for crying out loud. You're probably never going to get to see the whole thing again like this because it's an anime and they're more interested in the story, but at least for the first time we see it, and there's so much love for what they're mocking, that they actually do a good job with it.
Okay.
And I am actually curious where this is going to go, because while we have seen the first episode is kind of focused on this relationship from the Red Ranger's point of view, we have not seen it from her point of view yet. Why she would join this evil organization, because she's obviously just a normal human girl who's been trained to fight people with her giant Reaper staff.
Okay.
By the way, her name, and the only name we have for her so far, Reaper Princess.
Reaper Princess.
Yes, and she has a little hoodie with the skull on it.
Oh gosh.
And she's dressed like, well, you remember how some of these Power Ranger villainesses were dressed?
Oh, yeah.
A little more scantily than those.
Oh, okay.
A little more. Not hentai-ish.
Okay.
It's still, within
moderate
taste. It's not ecchi. It's just, I'll put it this way. I posted a picture in Geek Devotions to suggest, because I think there were some people there who would enjoy it. It took me a couple minutes to find a picture I felt safe enough to post. Because, well, let's face it, Power Rangers had to back off of how scantily they were drawing. They were putting women's in costumes for.
Very true.
And this is a little bit more scantily than that, so bear that in mind. But yeah, I enjoyed the ever-loving fool out of that one episode. I'm looking forward to the next one. I hope if this is Romeo and Juliet, but in the Power Rangers version of it, it's not as tragic.
Okay.
Because I don't want them to have to die, each commit suicide because the 2 teams can't come together.
Right.
But we'll see. We will see.
Awesome.
I am enjoying it. Also, I've been watching, speaking of Power Rangers, I've been watching more Power Rangers.
I noticed.
Yes. I am on season 2, the second half. Like, I just finished episodes, I'm in the 40s on season 2. Literally, I just finished the wedding.
Oh, okay.
The wedding between Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the goofiest episode they have ever made.
I can imagine.
It is absolutely ridiculous, and you can tell they had fun doing it. But do you know why that episode is filmed?
No.
While, yes, they were wanting to bring in Rita Repulsa to be a major character, especially since, well, they were making a movie at the time.
Yeah.
And they had both characters in the movie as the villains.
True.
But they have to film that movie. Bear in mind, they're filming Power Rangers for like weekly releases. I mean, season 2 and all 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin have 52 episodes.
Yeah.
Which means they're recording all the time. So they had to have an excuse to film 2.5 episodes where the Rangers couldn't unmorph.
Okay.
And they were having to deal with actors and actresses who were not necessarily needed, for the most part, in Australia where they were filming the movie. And what few scenes they did film with our Ranger team out unmorphed are filmed in Australia.
True.
You can tell because the video quality is much better for those segments than normal. because it's film, not videotape, or it's film on videotape. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is goofy, and it would just be normal until you get to, well, we recently had, we were recently on Nate Marchand's podcast, the Monster Island Film Vault, and
Yes.
he was recently on ours back in February.
Mm-hmm.
He's got another podcast called The Power Trip.
Yeah.
When they reviewed like whole seasons at a time.
Yeah.
When they got to this episode in their season 2 Mighty Morphin review, he said this was the jankiest, goofiest thing he had ever seen in Power Rangers.
Okay.
And I agree. You remember what Lord Zedd's great giant evil Zord was, right?
Yeah, Serpentera.
Serpentera.
Yeah.
With its AAA battery powering it, because
Yes.
every time he tried to actually fire, do anything to the Rangers, it powered down. Mostly because the Sentai footage never showed them fighting Serpentera.
Mm.
But anyway, they are going on their honeymoon, Rita and Zed. And their honeymoon is literally to watch the Power Rangers get, well, destroyed. This is Fox. Get destroyed by all the monsters that they have down there that are have trapped them inside this old theater.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a shot of it's the standard shot of Serpentera flying against the moon. That stock shot they always used anytime they wanted to show Serpentera off.
Mm.
Except somebody
I remember this.
animated a just married sign
On his tail.
made out of flames and very cheaply added to its tail. As a kid, I did not recognize how cheaply they did it. And it's only on screen for like half a second. But it's just enough to give you like, oh, you did that. Wow. You should have paid you should have done, if you're going to do that, you should put a little bit more work into it and actually
Agreed.
make it look good. But wow.
It's like, come on, you had Fox Studio money going through you right now. You could have used something of it.
Pay I don't know, who was it, Industrial Light and Magic who did the special effects on that? I don't know.
Definitely wasn't ILM.
No, it wasn't ILM, because that is the more on that later on in the year over on the Monster Island Film Vault when we'll be reviewing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. But yeah, I don't know. That is the worst special effect in Power Rangers. All of Power Rangers, that is the worst special effect. I don't care if I know there's later on at a point where when they're fighting against Rita and Zed's son, whose name I can't think of at the moment because he's only in like one episode that I've not seen. Or maybe it's past that, I don't know, where you can tell they just edited the same footage and then tried to composite it behind it of 7 guys to make it look like a whole army, and it looks bad. That's better than this. Because this is like, oh, you should have just skipped this. But anyway, I saw that. And of course, I'm also playing games. Now, I didn't stream this week, and the streaming is up in the air when I'm going to get back to streaming games, but I have been playing a game in my off time. A little game called Tales of Arise.
Really?
I call it Tales of Arise. I actually don't, because that's how it looks to the English set mind.
Gotcha.
But that's a goofy name.
Gotcha.
And it being Japanese, I half expect it to be Tales of Arise, the way it's read, way it looks.
Right.
But basically, you are playing as a member of a freedom fighter force trying to take back the planet from the evil next door neighbor aliens who are technically also humans who have conquered your planet. It's fun. I'm enjoying the game. It is a JRPG it does have battles that take place on like a separate screen. But instead of it being, a menu-based battle system, it is still action. So you get these really cool combo fights going against, just regular monsters.
Yeah.
It's fun. I'm enjoying it immensely. I'm about to go take down the second Lord. But I've been playing that and I'm enjoying it.
Okay then.
And that's all I've been watching and playing. What have we got in info and in the news? Not info and stuff. The news. Steal it. Yes, I know. I should have said what I'm about to say. What do we got in the news?
All right. So in news, Universal Pictures pushes the release date to push in boots. Puss in boots. Let me say that right. Puss in boots. The Last Wish to a Christmas release of February of I'm just getting words mixed up today. Of Wednesday, December 21st. The long-awaited DreamWorks animated sequel was previously slated for September 23rd. So,
Do you know what was originally going to come out that day?
oh, I don't remember.
Super Mario movie, which got pushed to 2023.
It did. I was about to get into that.
Yeah.
All right.
That's called a segue.
Yes, it is a good segue. Thank you.
If you follow what I'm
Yes,
doing.
Yeah. Wonk, wonk, wonk. I just got killed by a Goomba.
Boo-doo, boo-doo-doo, boo-boo-doo, boo-doo. Boop, boop, boo, doo, 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 boo-doo-doo.
All right. So Illumination's untitled Super Mario Bros.
Oh, it
movie-
is actually just called Super Mario now.
Okay. It's called Super Mario movie. The Super Mario movie.
No, just Super Mario.
Okay. It's got a title.
Yay! We still don't have a trailer.
Which was supposed to come out September 20 what was it, December 21st of this year?
Yeah. When they pushed Puss in Boots too.
Yeah, which has now been pushed to Easter of April 7th, 2023.
Well, it worked for Sonic this year. It should work for Mario next year.
True. You know how cool it would be if they did a crossover
With, with Detective Pikachu.
Oh gosh. Why don't they just make it
Chris, that would be Chris Pratt, Ryan Reynolds, and oh shoot, who is Sonic?
we just reviewed that second
I
one.
know. We just reacted to that. We just saw the movie, and I can't think of the guy's name.
Either or.
But imagine those three guys in a movie. It's like, yeah, we got to go take down Master Hand. Why are we fighting a giant hand? And it's brother Crazy Hand. Keep an eye out. There might be Kirby around.
Oh gosh. All right. So, anyways,
Still voiced by Sakurai.
all right. DreamWorks Animation, Universal Pictures, newest big screen movie, The Bad Guys,
Mhm.
have made out the top domestic box office top of the weekend, opening with an estimated $25 million, according to ComScreen, added to its already $63.1 million overseas haul in select markets. So yeah, apparently, like, it's doing fairly well right now with how with our COVID economy and all that
Mhm.
jazz. So apparently it's based off it's based off a book. I didn't know this, but yeah, it's doing very well. Another CG movie that we just reviewed, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, picked up another $15.3 million in the third weekend.
Mhm.
Right now it's sitting at let's see, its domestic gross is $145.8 million. With its international, it's at $287.8 million. So yeah, it's doing very well in theaters.
All right.
All right, so in last bit of news, yeah, apparently movies are getting pushed back again.
Hey.
Yeah, so a mix would be like, so apparently Universal has been doing some shuffling, along with Sony. Been doing some shuffling.
Yes, because Spider-Verse got pushed back.
Uh-huh.
Now we know, but here's the other thing we do know. We know that the second movie is just going to be called Across the Spider-Verse, while the third one that we only knew was going to be called Across the Spider-Verse Part 2, we know is going to be called Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Didn't know this.
I saw it earlier today.
Okay. So, like Drew said a second ago, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 has been shifted to June 2nd, 2022. Where let's see, originally it was originally slated for October 7th of this year.
Mhm.
So yeah, apparently movies are getting shifted again.
It happens.
It happens. Yeah, like the whole COVID-19 movie is getting pushed back almost 2 years.
Yes, but thankfully this is not COVID related. This
That
is
is so
just
true.
well, I say it's not COVID related. If it is, if there's any COVID relation to it, it is probably just the fact that, oh yeah, we have to work in the office again. How do we do that?
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute. I got to be close to somebody again?
How do we work? How do we work in this big convoluted
Yeah.
environment?
I can't wear my pajamas to work anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah. So either way, that's all I got in the news. A lot of movies are getting pushed back again.
And it happens, but
It
we'll
does.
see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Other than if that's the case, if that's what you've got done, why don't we jump into the spoiler-free section
Yes.
of our review of the Batman Superman movie, World's Finest. I know I saw this back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I know I did. I can't tell you I have any memories of watching this back in the day.
Yeah.
Just because it's been, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Ugh. Make me feel old. But here's what I did remember. I remembered memes.
Memes.
Memes. There are a number of scenes from this movie
Mm-hmm.
that I have seen memed out
Mm.
there in Facebook land and
Mm-hmm.
other places that I assumed were, from different parts of the Batman, Superman era, all things considered. No, they're all in this movie.
Really?
Yes. The whole Joker raising his sexually putting his leg out there to get a ride.
Yeah.
Pudding. That's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to spoil anything. Those who know. All this I remember being memed out there and thinking, oh yeah, this is just all this other stuff. And I remember this story. I do remember the parts of the story with Bruce and Lois.
Yeah.
And everything that was related to. So because I know I watched this back when I was a kid, but I don't remember. I only remember bits and pieces. And I really did enjoy what I saw this time because this is almost a fresh viewing for me. It's been so long since I've seen any of Superman the animated series that I forgot how awesome the opening is.
Yeah.
Because I actually watched the TV version, which was the movie split into 3 episodes
Yeah.
of Superman the animated series because that's how I found it on HBO Max. You saw it altogether on Apple TV.
Yes.
So we had a slightly different viewing experience, but I don't
Yes.
think it was great. We don't know yet. We'll find out later. But I enjoyed watching this. If you're interested, if you are a Batman or Superman fan, and maybe you like the concept of them teaming up together, but we're not necessarily happy with one of the most later times this has happened in popular culture, maybe go give this a shot.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that more here in a minute
Yeah.
when we get into the spoiler filled section. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a well done movie. It not only was a great Batman Superman flick, it was also a good Joker Lex
Agreed.
flick, and even Mercy and Harley had a good time too.
Yes. Oh my gosh, poor Mercy.
Poor Mercy. But yeah, and Lois actually had a pretty decent role in this too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a very fun, very good movie. I suggest going and watching it, even if you only can watch it like I did, which was 3 episodes of Superman the Animated Series season 2. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Spoiler free wise.
All right. Spoiler free wise, I remember this coming out. I think this was my freshman year in high school. I think it was freshman year. I think this was 1997, 98. So yeah, this would have been.
I would have been entering junior high.
Yeah, I would have just
or my 6th grade year.
Yeah, so I would have been. Yeah, I would have been in my 8th, 9th.
End of 8th, beginning of 9th. That was in the beginning of 6th. End of 6th, beginning of 7th.
That's right. Yeah. So I remember seeing this hit and miss because I remember even seeing it on Cartoon Network at one point. I was like, "What in the world is this?" So then I remember going to the long, I remember going to Blockbuster back when Blockbuster was a thing. And I remember
You actually had one. I didn't.
Yes, we actually had a Blockbuster in, my hometown. So went there and I found it on DVD. Watched it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Because there again, I didn't have, the WB or what was later turned into CW. So I just found this incredibly good movie. I remember a lot of it. I don't recall. I remember a lot of the action primarily because there again, I was a young teenager. So yeah, I thought it was very fun. And there again, this is a good movie. This is a good movie. Great story, great animation. And this is coming out of the DCAU in its heyday.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember correctly, this was the first time that Batman and Superman actually were able to team up. Yes.
With one major exception.
Okay.
A little show made by Hanna-Barbera called The Adventures of the Super Friends.
Well, that is true, but in DCAU history.
Oh yeah, DCAU definitely.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there going to say, was there any other time in history Batman and Superman teamed up outside of the comics page?
Yes.
Only Super Friends is the only thing I can think of.
Right. So, this was pretty landmark to have both these characters there again in the DCAU continuity. Because there again, I think it was Batman was tied up with Batman the Animated Series was tied up with Fox.
Yeah.
So DC Warner Brothers couldn't do anything with the character, even though they own the character.
Well, I think part of the reason they couldn't do anything was because Fox and which would technically also be Saban.
Yeah.
They had paid for, they're the ones who had ordered the seasons for Batman the Animated Series.
True.
And part of that, you'll note that this takes place after they've switched from Batman the Animated Series to the New Adventures of Batman and Robin.
Exactly. That's when the license expired with Fox.
Right. And they technically just made a new series and then just didn't change any of the creative team or the storytelling or continuity.
Exactly.
It's just they made a new show and redesigned the characters. So legally it wasn't the same show. Yeah, sure. Pull the other leg.
Pull the other batarang out of the cape.
More opinions on what they had to do for the redesign of one character in particular later on. But anyway.
Right. I overall really enjoyed this movie. It's worth a watch. Like Drew said before, I watched it on Apple TV for like $2.99. Not a bad deal.
I watched it for the cost of my HBO subscription for this month.
But yes, worth a watch.
All right. That means we need to jump into our spoiler-filled section just on the other side of these bumpers. So let's just go ahead and do that. Don't forget that you can download? Don't forget that you can... Don't forget that you can listen to us record the podcast live every Tuesday over on our Facebook page, The Cellcast, our Twitch channel, The Cellcast Gaming, and on YouTube at Cellcast. Also, don't forget to join our Patreon if you would like to support us monetarily. At $1, you'll get our everlasting thanks. At our $5 tier, you can get some artwork from Jacob. And on our $10 tier, you can get bloopers for every episode we've released that I've remembered to release them for. And you can get commentaries from different movies. So come check us out over there if you would like to support us financially. Each week on Stunning and Brave, hosts Chris Cowan of the Babylon Bee and Nate Henderson of Some Boring Budgeting Job confess their privilege, spotlight stunning social media posts, and fabricate outrage, all while keeping you super woke and enlightened. They will make you laugh. That's right, you have no choice. Check out Stunning and Brave at stunningandbrave.net. Do Do you like Star Wars? I don't just mean the original trilogy. Along with that, I mean the prequels, the sequels, the anthologies, the animated shows, and of course, who doesn't like Baby Yoda? Well, if you've been in the fandom for any length of time, you know how toxic the fandom can get. And if you'd like to be able to discuss a galaxy far, far away in a much more positive light, might I suggest searching out The Outer Rim, a Facebook group dedicated to all of Star Wars, and check out their YouTube channel, which you can easily find at Pop Americana, which the podcast you're currently listening to is also a part of. To find that and more, check out the link in the description. The following's a spoiler-filled review for the Batman Superman movie World's Finest. If you don't want to be spoiled right now, you should turn off this podcast right now. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, da-da-da, ba-da-da, 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 da-da-da-dun. I'm sorry.
My cape.
My favorite part of that opening is that one of those hits is Superman punching Lex Luthor in the face. The Batman Superman movie, World's Finest, was directed by Toshihiko Masuda. Bet you didn't know this was an anime, did you? Literally, I thought there's no way that this American television show, the only director was the guy who directed the animation in Japan. There had to be an American director on this, and I can't find one.
Really?
Anywhere. So the only director I have is the director of animation over in Japan, which was Toshihiko Masuda. And you want to know what the other big thing he directed for Warner Brothers was that we will probably review this Christmas if I have anything to say about it?
What would that be?
Pinky and the Brain Christmas.
Okay.
I just decided I'm going to review that this Christmas one way or the other.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's a good movie. Also, it was written by Alan Burnett, who also wrote episodes of Freakazoid.
And Batman.
Yes. Paul Dini, who also wrote He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
And Batman.
It was also written by Rich Fogel, who also wrote some episodes of Captain Planets and the Planeteers. And he actually wrote the first episode.
Really?
Yes. The third episode was written by Stan Berkowitz, who also wrote episodes of T.J. Hooker.
Really?
You know, Captain Kirk as a police officer.
Yes.
But the second episode was written by someone very special, very well known in the comics world, but not for DC.
For Marvel?
Yes. Steve Gerber.
Okay.
Do you know who he is?
The name sounds familiar.
He is the creator of none other than Howard the Duck.
Oh, boy.
And he is one of the people who got into a major lawsuit with Marvel over ownership of Howard the Duck.
Really?
To the point where there was a whole big controversy about it. Go look that up. That's interesting. In fact, he also teamed up with Jack Kirby to help him get his rights back from Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel. So yeah, he wrote to pay for all those court bills. He wrote the second third of this movie. Of course, we also have Superman being created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, and Batman being created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger.
Primarily Bill
I would
Finger.
like to point out that this is before Bill Finger started getting his credits.
Mm-hmm.
So all this thing said was Bob Kane, but that is a complete and utter fabrication, and Bill Finger probably did most of it.
Yes, agreed. And Bill Finger didn't start getting his credit until I think it was like Justice League, I think.
Literally, ironically,
or in the other film,
Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice.
That's right.
That was the first movie he got credit for.
I remember just watching the movie. And it's like, man, this
like they
is not
actually
a
credited
very good film. But oh crap, they actually they gave him credit.
They mentioned Bill Finger. That kind of makes it a little better. There'll be more on this later. We'll come
Right.
back. Getting into the cast, we've got Tim Daly playing Superman and Clark Kent. And he was also known at this time for playing Joe Hackett on the television series Wings.
Yes.
We also got Dana Delaney playing Lois Lane, who on a previous movie we reviewed on this podcast played Andrea Beaumont and the Phantasm in Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Okay, now I can hear it. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Kevin Conroy was the voice of Batman and Bruce Wayne. And on the television series The Venture Brothers that airs on Adult Swim on Cartoon Network, he voiced a character named Captain Sunshine. Batman played a character named Captain Sunshine. I just love that. We've got Mark Hamill playing none other than the Joker. And he also played on a DC franchise, The Trickster in The Flash. Both of them.
Yes.
And this little indie franchise you may have heard about called Star Wars.
Yeah.
He played a character named Luke Starkiller or something like that.
Yeah, something
like to that effect.
Yeah.
Arlene Sorkin was the voice of Harley Quinn. And on the daytime soap opera Days of Our Lives, she played Calliope Jones. I believe this is also the daytime soap opera that Kevin Conroy was on. Clancy Brown was the voice of Lex Luthor, and his most famous role, period, at this point, just because the show will not die, is on SpongeBob SquarePants, where he is the voice of Mr. Krabs. Hey, SpongeBob, I've got to stop that Superman from taking over the planet. He's going to take. If I don't stop him, he may get. I may have to spend my first dollar. This is not a good pirate voice. Oh my gosh. Okay. We're almost done.
Did I get hit by Joker gas?
Maybe. Lisa Edelstein was the voice of Mercy Graves.
Oh, poor Mercy.
And she played a character named Lori in The West Wing. Lastly, we got Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. playing Alfred for 3 lines. And he was Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man, the animated series. I still can't see it.
I can't either.
And we got, of course, one of our biggest Kingdom Hearts connections. You should know, since I mentioned Mark Hamill, who is the voice of the Joker here. And in Kingdom Hearts, he plays Master Ericus, starting with Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. And I'd like to point out, I always like to point this out, that in that game, he was playing against Leonard Nimoy as Lord Xehanort.
Interesting.
Yes. Star Trek versus Star Wars in Kingdom Hearts. Unfortunately, we never actually got to see that, but moving on. What do we got in info and stuff?
Okay. Well, first, I couldn't find a IMDb for this movie.
Oh, there is one.
There is.
It's not under the Batman Superman movie World
It's
Finest.
under the television series.
You've got to go to Superman, the animated series.
Season
You've
2.
got to go to the individual episodes, season 2, and look at World's Finest Part 1, World's Finest Part 2, and World's Finest Part 3. They have the same cast list, except that Part 1 also included Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
That is literally the only difference I really saw. And then, and of course, all the writers are different. But yeah, I didn't see any of the money information you usually look up.
Okay, so on Rotten Tomatoes, there's a score of 80. And on IMDb, after going and looking for the episodes instead of looking for the movie, is a 9.0 out of 10. Which is not surprising because this movie is good.
Yes.
You can watch it on Apple TV for $2.99, or if you're a subscriber to HBO Max, you can go look at Superman the Animated Series season 2, episode 40.
No, it's like 20, 21, and 22 of season 2, I think.
Oh, okay.
Look, it's near the end. Look for the words "World's Finest" Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3.
Yeah, hard to find.
Followed by Bizarro.
All right, so production was obviously Warner Brothers Animation, as far as I understand, because I can't find anything on this thing.
TMS.
Yeah, TMS.
Warner Brothers Animation owned is the producer, obviously, but the actual animators.
Yeah,
More on this in a minute. Was TMS, the same people who did Lupin the Third.
that's right. TMS.
Give you an idea. It is the Japanese studio. But
Okay.
This is they farm. That's who Warner Brothers farmed the animation out to, was TMS.
TMS. That's right. Which did most of the.
They did most of
DC.
most of
DCAU.
the DCAU.
Right. It was distributed by Warner Brothers and also Warner Brothers Home Video when it came to DVD and VHS, or DVD and Blu-ray. Which I cannot find for the life of me. More information on that in a second. Release date of October 4th, 1997. And I can't find any home release information whatsoever on this film.
Well, I know there was DVDs.
There were DVDs. And there's
Probably,
Blu-rays.
There is probably Blu-rays of this. Definitely there's the complete series release of Superman the Animated Series season 2, probably. Or the complete season 2. And there had to have been a VHS release.
Yes.
But yeah, that's the problem when you have one of these that the people who own it. It's obviously 3 episodes that were put together.
Yeah.
And the only way they've decided to ever release this thing anymore is part of that box set.
Yeah.
Instead of releasing it separately, is that we have a hard time finding that kind of information for it.
That is true. So yeah, that is all I have for info and stuff.
All right. Getting into the summary, and I am going to have to speedball through this. So give me let me get to it.
Let him roll out his marbles.
Yes.
Let them explode.
Indeed. But the nice thing about this summary is I get to actually say the traditional phrase that should start every Batman adventure. It is a dark and stormy night in Gotham City. Harley Quinn enters into an antique shop and douses the store's owner with Joker gas. The Joker enters and steals a Green Dragon statue. Later, the police investigate the crime scene and wonder why Joker would only take one jade statue worth maybe $100,000, especially when rumor has it that he's been hurting for funds. Batman examines a fragment of the statue that has been left behind and takes it for further study. Back in the Batcave, he discovers that the jade is emitting low-level radiation, meaning that it's actually kryptonite. According to Alfred, the Laughing Dragon has gained a bad reputation for being cursed since all of its owners died prematurely. Now realizing what the Joker is up to, Batman heads off to Metropolis. Out over Metropolis, terrorists seize control of Air Force One, with the President of the United States on board. Lois Lane is among the press corps on board, virtually guaranteeing Superman's prompt arrival. He easily defeats the terrorists and saves the passengers. When he returns to the ground, Lois tries to let him know how she feels, but they are interrupted when robbers attack the First National Bank and Superman must fly. Lex Luthor sourly reads about the president thanking Metropolis' favorite son and heads down to his car. However, the car speeds blindly through traffic and the driver is revealed to be not Mercy, but Harley Quinn. Joker enters the car and explains that he is broke due to Batman's success in closing down his operations in Gotham City. So he offers Luthor a deal. For $1 billion, he'll kill Superman. Luthor is initially skeptical, but changes his mind when Joker shows him the kryptonite statue. He accepts the offer. Bruce Wayne is visiting Metropolis to work on a deal with Luthor. Lois is immediately taken with him, and Bruce returns her interest. Much to Clark Kent's displeasure, Lois accepts Bruce's invitation to dinner. That night, Joker sets up his base in Metropolis, gassing a local crime boss and taking his hideout and his coward thugs for his own. The boss is later found hysterical with laughter by the Metropolis police. The next day, an insect-like probe droid, the Wayne Lex T7, crawls through a canyon, even scaling walls. Bruce is pleased how well the Wayne Tech and LexCorp's collaboration has worked out, in developing the robots for space exploration, but Luthor says the robots would be even more useful for military purposes. But Bruce, who under their agreement has sole control over the technology is useless, firmly squelches the idea. That night, Batman appears in a Metropolis nightclub, finding a runaway thug from the gang Joker recruited. While Batman is interrogating the thug, Superman arrives saying he doesn't want Batman's brand of vigilantism in his town. To his astonishment, Batman throws him across the room with a judo move. Superman pushes him against the wall, and the thug escapes. Using his X-ray vision, Superman looks beneath the mask and sees that Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Dun dun dun.
Batman then pulls out a fragment of kryptonite and warns Superman of Joker's plan. Superman returns to his apartment. His jealousy increases when he gets a call from Lois, who says she'll be taking the morning off to leave to have breakfast with Bruce. As they talk, he sees a small homing device planted on his cape. Looking out the window, he sees that Batman has followed him to Clark Kent's apartment.
Dun dun dun.
And now discovered his secret identity as well, with Superman letting out a touche and destroying the tracker. And that's the end of episode 1. Beginning episode 2. Things are not going well between Batman and Superman. Lois and Bruce flirt with each other at the Daily Planet, much to Clark's chagrin. But out of her earshot, they talk about Joker's location, and Clark drops a warning about Bruce's relationship with Lois. Over dinner at a rooftop restaurant, Bruce and Lois are getting closer, but Joker arrives and kidnaps Lois, and his thugs send Bruce falling off the roof's edge, though he manages to save himself. Joker contacts Superman, inviting him to come alone to one of LexCorp's laboratories. In his jealousy, Superman ignores Bruce's warning to expect the unexpected from Joker. While waiting for Superman, Joker breaks the statue in half, saving one half for later just in case, and then tells Lois that she has a front row seat for the story of the century, the death of Superman. Superman arrives at the laboratory wearing his anti-kryptonite suit made out of lead. Joker appears confused when the kryptonite has no effect on him, and Superman quickly gets him to lead him to where Lois is. But just as Superman is about to save Lois, Joker uses his acid flower to destroy the suit. Exposed to the radiation, Superman falls and Joker starts to electrocute him with his buzzer. Before he can kill Superman, however, Harley Quinn calls and warns that Batman has arrived. Joker leaves, and as soon as Batman enters the room, the doors are sealed and Joker gas is vented in. Batman examines the room's contents. Barrels of hydrochloric acid, too weak to eat through the walls or door, but instead Batman uses it to dissolve the kryptonite. Recovering from its effects, Superman is just able to smash their way out of the room, taking Batman and Lois with him. They confront Joker, who distracts them with grenades made to look like marbles. The trio flees the laboratory, which is destroyed in an explosion. That morning, Lex makes a public statement that the explosion was only a minor problem, but is furious with the Joker for destroying his property. Clark among the reporters hears Luthor mention of his deal with Joker. Luthor confronts Joker and gives him a second chance to kill Superman, but insists that it's his last. While the two men are discussing the situation, Harley and Mercy are doing their best to kill each other barefisted. In his apartment, Luthor is rudely awakened by Batman, who has learned about his connection to Joker from Clark. Luthor refuses to tell him anything, but realizes that Batman is a serious enough threat that he must be taken care of as well. The next morning, Lois tells Clark that she's planning a transfer to the planet's Gotham City bureau, feeling that she and Bruce are serious enough that they're practically engaged. Joker makes his new move and fakes a distress signal from a cruise ship to lure Superman away. As soon as Superman arrives, the distress beacon becomes real when the bomb is detonated on the hull, causing the ship to sink. Batman arrives to check out the situation and is attacked by a larger, armed version of the Wayne Lex T7. Out at sea, Superman repairs the damage to the cruise ship and prevents it sinking. At the same time, Batman flees the Wayne Lex T7 using a specially designed jetpack. However, the robot pursues him to the Daily Planet building, where Lois happens to be putting in a late night, with her in danger of being caught in the crossfire. Batman snatches her up, and together they try to run. The pair are cornered by the robot in the printer room. As it tries to push him into the press, his cape and cowl are caught and pulled off, revealing his identity to Lois. Lois manages to distract the robot from killing Bruce long enough for Superman to arrive and destroy it. Luthor is informed of the Wayne Lex T7's failure and realizes that he'll be connected to the crime. He decides to cut his losses and orders one more meeting with Joker. Back at her apartment, Lois treats a wound on Bruce's shoulder. She is fuming because Bruce deceived her about his secret identity, and also because she honestly cares for him enough that she can't release the story of the century, Batman Unmasked. Superman arrives and asks Bruce for a partnership so they can take in both their enemies. Batman agrees, and the duo leave. Meanwhile, Joker and Luthor meet at the LexCorp Aeronautics Factory, where Luthor informs Joker and Harley that he intends to kill them and frame them for the mayhem that's been going on. By the way, we're in episode 3 right now. I missed where we made that switch. Joker turns the tables and takes both Luthor and Mercy prisoner. Since he can no longer collect his $1 billion, Joker decides on a consolation prize: Luthor's gigantic and heavily armed Lex-wing airship, having Harley paint it so that it resembles a grinning mouth. Luthor asks how much he'll pay for his release, but Joker says he isn't interested in money anymore. Instead, he wants to destroy everything Luthor ever built, just as Batman destroyed everything that he built. Batman and Superman arrive, but are attacked by giant versions of the Wayne Lex T7s before they can stop Joker from taking off. Working together, they destroy most of the robots, but they are faced with one that has Mercy strapped to its side as a shield, preventing them from hitting it. Batman manages to get the robot off the ground, and Mercy deactivates it without hurting Mercy. Mercy tells the heroes of Joker's plans, while Superman realizes means destroying half of Metropolis. The group is confronted by an even larger, more advanced robot. Superman tells Batman to go after Joker while he takes care of the robot. Unfortunately for him, this one is equipped with the other half of the Laughing Dragon. Joker goes on a destructive spree over Metropolis. Batman pursues in the Batwing. Joker damages the plane with missiles, and Batman is forced to eject, but manages to board the plane. While Batman deals with the wing, Superman is pummeled by the robot until it tries to smash him with a heavy door. The door, which has been lined with lead to block Superman's X-ray vision, protects him from the kryptonite, and he destroys the robot in the process, shattering the last of the kryptonite to pieces. With that job done, Superman leads off to help Batman confront the Joker, leaving Harley to fly the wing, but she only succeeds in shutting off its engines. Fortunately, Superman arrives just in time to steer the wing away from a collision with a building. In the fight, Joker accidentally drops his entire bag of marble grenades. As the grenades start to explode, the heroes save Luthor and Harley. Joker, left behind desperately but unsuccessfully, pulls a parachute onto him. Suddenly, the plane tilts and Joker falls on his side. Joker, seeing the grenades rolling towards him, and starts to giggle. Then he starts laughing, growing louder until he finally roars with maniacal, insane, violent laughter. In the explosion, the wing is destroyed and it crashes in the ocean. With the troubles over, Angela Chen reports on the incident. Joker's body has not been found. Luthor is under investigation, but it is unlikely he will be charged with any crime. However, Bruce Wayne, discovering that Luthor has been developing military versions of their robots, terminates his deal with LexCorp. Harley is returned to Arkham with Mercy Graves laughing at the entire ordeal. Sadly for Bruce, Lois says she adores him but can't get over his secret activities. He tells her goodbye, and he and Clark exchange a good-natured farewell before Bruce leaves for Gotham, leaving Metropolis and Lois in Superman's care once again. That was a lot.
That was a lot.
Getting into the trivia right quick, because this is not a lot of this. The title is a reference to World's Finest Comics, an anthology comic which also often featured the team of Superman and Batman after their first meeting in Superman number 76. Prior to that, the comic had simply printed Batman and Superman in separate, unrelated stories. The Joker offers Lois a scoop he calls the death of Superman. This was a major storyline in the comics about Superman's supposed death at the hands of Doomsday, which we would later see in another Batman Superman movie.
Yes.
Tim Daly narrowly beat Kevin Conroy for the role of Joe Hackett on the TV series Wings, before Conroy was cast in Batman the Animated Series. This is the first time that Daly and Conroy have worked together since then. Joker's comments about Lex's limo having rich Corinthian leather. This is a reference to Ricardo Montalban's 1975 commercial for the Chrysler Cordoba, which also had rich Corinthian leather. And because it aired in the evening as a special presentation, this episode won a Primetime Emmy Award. TMS, the movie's animators, are very proud of this and display the Emmy in their lobby.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Which brings me to the end of the trivia, and I want the first like, if I may.
Go for it.
Before I give this like, I have to
go for it.
I have to give a disclaimer. In order for me to tell my first like of this movie, I will have to compare it in contrast to another movie that featured Batman and Superman in it. That was a little more shall we say, recent. I want to point out that since I do have friends who have have very much let me know about all the artistic merits of said film, and because I really don't want to rain on anyone's parade who actually does like any of the Zack Snyder universe of films, that my opinions about that I will be mentioning here in a minute about Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice as a part of my likes for this movie are purely my own opinion and are just my own based on my own biases, and they're not in any way, shape, or form meant to degrade the artistic quality of a movie that I really don't like that much. But that all being said, this is a better Batman versus Superman movie than actually Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice, even the Ultimate Edition. And the reason I say that is A, Batman and Superman, while they are antagonistic towards each other throughout the whole movie, they do work together for most of the movie.
Yeah.
2, you don't just have them fighting one weirdo little Lex Luthor. You have them fighting Lex and Joker. And this isn't a Joker that makes my skin crawl. Other problems I have with where that Joker showed up elsewhere in the Snyderverse, but c'est la vie. The movie is enjoyable. It is rewatchable. It actually hits like nearly the two movies actually hit nearly like the same plot points, except that this doesn't have Wonder Woman showing up throughout it. It doesn't have the connections to bring in like other characters, and it doesn't go into Doomsday, the comic where Superman died, which is fine. I mean, that's not what this movie was going for. It didn't need to go into Doomsday. And the other thing that this has over Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice is the fact that there's a lot of continuity before this movie for both characters, so you get time to learn these characters and get to like them, so you don't get bogged down in having to introduce one of these characters and almost reintroduce the other character to try and make the character a little bit more likable. And plus, these are versions of these characters I honestly prefer personally.
Gotcha.
And plus, you get Mark Hamill's Joker being the actual villain of this thing. Lex is a villain here, but he's more of a trying to take advantage of the situation villain. He's not really got these super machinations going on. He's being a businessman, and it just so happens that his part of the business is building these giant robots that he got Bruce Wayne to help him with, and using those to attack our heroes later in the film. For the most part, this is the Joker having the time of his life.
Agreed.
In this film. And okay, I'm just going to say I prefer this version of Harley. I will always prefer this version of Harley to the Harley Quinn that is in the new films. I'm sorry, I just prefer this one where she's a little bit of a ditzoid. Not that that's a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
She's just more fun in this movie. Joker is having lots of fun. Even Lex and Mercy are having lots of fun. Not that I want to get off onto that because that goes into another but I mean, this movie is just a better team up movie for Batman and Superman than Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice. I'm not trying to degrade people who like those movies.
Right.
This is a movie going for entirely different things and has an entirely different audience. I will admit all of that, but I prefer this version.
Okay.
Also, you don't kill Jimmy Olsen, you just leave him out of the story. I think that works better. I'm sorry, I still don't know why they killed Jimmy Olsen at the beginning of Batman versus Superman.
True.
But anyway, that is my first like.
Okay.
This is a better movie than the more recent Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice. I know that sounds like I'm throwing that other movie under the bus, and I kind of am, but this is a more fun movie. Okay. This is a better movie, in my opinion.
I gotcha.
In a purely subjective reason. In a purely subjective way, I think this is a better film.
Okay.
Granted, the other one's more artistic and is trying to do a lot more and is doing other things
Right.
than this movie is going for. Granted, but hey, this is a fun movie and I enjoyed it.
Okay.
What is your first like?
Okay. So going into my first like, I want to make a claimer because my third like was actually comparing these two. Be like that.
You're making the same disclaimer
I
did.
wasn't gonna make a disclaimer. I was gonna say I was basically what I was going to try to say fell in comparison to what Drew was said for his first, which my third that the Batman Superman movie, World's Finest, is possibly a better film than Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. So with everything that Drew had said previously, I would agree with him 100%. And this is my third like, which is getting bumped up to my first.
Yes.
Because you did such an excellent job with it. That it's like, yeah, Batman v Superman has some merits as a film. It does get bogged down quite a bit.
And I will say I do prefer it to Man of Steel and Suicide Squad, but we don't talk about Suicide Squad.
Okay. I do enjoy some of the I do enjoy the actors on Batman v Superman. But when you're comparing DCAU this film, be like it's just hands down better.
Yeah.
It's a better of a film. And I hate trying using comparison between a live action film and an animated film.
That are going for different things.
Exactly.
And how they're going showing the Batman Superman dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's just the comparison is, it's like, yeah, you're dealing with two different, subject materials that are roughly based off the same origins, but yeah, to me, I prefer the Batman Superman movie. I don't want to say Dawn of Justice because that's the other film.
World's
Finest over Dawn of Justice. So that is my third likes. My third like, which I moved to first. Now I'm first. Okay. So what is your second?
My second like is the villainous team up of Joker, Harley, Lex, and Mercy.
Oh gosh.
Poor
Mercy.
Joker is having the absolute time of his life in this film. This is
it's Mark Campbell. What do you expect?
the two memes that I kind of mentioned in the spoiler-free section are both Joker memes, and it's two of my favorites. He's Mercy has been knocked out by Harley, who is kidnapped Lex. And he's driving down, and she says, "Oh, let's pull over and pick up that one. That's a hot hitchhiker over there, or whatever." And camera moves out, and you've got the Joker standing there in full Joker getup. He pulls up a leg. It is sexily drawn, which means those are not spats in his shoes. Those are his feet that he is just standing in those shoes with no socks on, which is almost yeah, there's your thing. But the last part is, this is the time when Batman gets the sassiest, I think.
Oh,
even though we know Joker will come back, he has to. He's Joker. You don't kill the Joker. You may look like you do, but you don't kill the Joker. But Harley and the Lex wing is blowing up, and Harley, out of love for her boss, Mr. J, says, "Puddin'," and Batman says, "I'm not kidding. Right now, he probably is." I'm going, you did not just say that. I mean, there is sassy, and then there is kicking somebody when they're down. Because Harley just got the love of her life just got killed, and you just and she says puddin', and you go, right now he probably is. I'm going, that's just wrong.
But so funny.
It's funny. It's hilarious. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, Oh my. But I mean, the whole relation, the fact that he goes and they don't have much time, so they can't do a very big customization on the Lex Wing. So they just get what has to be somewhere around 20, 30 gallons of black paint to paint these giant black stripes
Right.
across the Lex Wing in roughly an hour. And Harley, from what we can tell, did it all by herself. Amazingly straight lines for an hour's worth of a rush job to paint stripes on a white plane. But so good kudos there, Harley. But you get that whole thing. It's like, of course you did that, Joker. And of course you have a blimp. Why do you have a blimp, Joker? Because you are Joker. But the relationship between those, how Joker and Lex are at each other's throats for the most part, but they're still working together until, Joker finally is just too much for Lex to handle. And then poor Mercy.
Oh gosh, Mercy
Gets her butt kicked by Harley every fight, so that the fact that Harley is the one who gets thrown into Arkham Asylum is just the funniest thing. Because she's still fine.
Yeah.
She's still absolutely fine. At the end of this, she's bandaged up because she's been hit so many times, but she and her boss are still got the status quo to go back to, while Harley's in jail or in Arkham, and the Joker is quote unquote dead. You can't see my finger quotes, but that means I'm being sarcastic. It's just, all four of these characters are just a delight and a treat to watch bicker and at each other and still have the time of their lives. Plus, you've got my favorite moment of Joker's, where he takes over a gang by coming in, making a couple jokes, offering them, and just like bang, kills them. You're just like, and y'all guys are now working for me. And only one guy says nope and somehow escapes. He doesn't live long after that,
apparently.
But anyway, those are just the interaction between those characters is just spot on, and it's how you have villains team up. They have to be at each other's throats and fighting and backstabbing and betraying each other. That's just how it works. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Excellent.
Your second like?
My second like would actually be, it's a compelling story. It's a very compelling story. It has like every hallmark you want in a Superman film, or a Superman Batman film, or whatever vice versa you want to play that. The fact be like, it's not the we're going to make up this convoluted story where our characters have to meet up. It's very logic based. It's like, okay, Superman, like Batman has to go to Metropolis for a real reason, and the flow of the story is very natural. It has its rhythm is correct. I mean, like, it's a story just beat by beat by beat, and it's not trying to go over the top. It's not an over top story. It's done very well. You find yourself invested with the characters. Definitely, if you watch the series, Batman the Animated Series, or you're watching Superman, The Adventures of Superman.
Superman the Animated Series.
Yeah, Superman the Animated Series.
And by this point, you're on Batman, The New Adventures of Batman and Robin, even though Robin's not in this.
No, he's not.
Poor Dick Grayson. He's probably at college this week.
Yeah. Oh, let's not get started with that. I guess that just gets into the weeds. But either way. So this
he and Batgirl are out on a date.
Maybe.
Again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, their last one got ruined by a certain Iceman.
That is true. That is true. Well, we could go into the weeds about something else that maybe Bruce Wayne had to do with, but let's not go there.
I don't know where Batman is in this part of the universe before this point. I just know he's Batman. He's by himself in this movie until Superman shows up, because this is really Batman and Superman, not Batman and Robin and Superman.
That is true. So, but like, yeah, it's got a very compelling story. It's very well done. It's a very well paced movie.
Yeah,
very well paced story.
Well, and I may have some issues in a few minutes, but yeah. I'll most part agree with you.
Yeah. Definitely towards the end, it gets a little choppy. little
Yeah.
choppy. But overall, it's a very well paced film, and be like you find yourself invested with the characters. You are the comedy, the um yeah, just overall very well, great, wonderful story, and that's what I like about it. It's just a very compelling story. So yeah, what is your number 3?
My third, like, the relationship between Batman and Superman.
Okay.
Because the way they handle these characters coming together, it's like, yeah, they are professionals. They are the heroes of their own town.
Mm-hmm.
They have opinions about how fighting crime should work.
Yeah.
So naturally, Batman's version of vigilantism, and let's face it, Superman's version of vigilantism
It's very different.
is very different. Batman's more willing to, you know, I'm not gonna say be rougher because it's Superman. He just has to barely slap them and they're hurt pretty badly.
Yeah.
But Batman's darker, Superman's lighter. It's how it's always been. It's the biggest
Yeah.
problem with BVS is they tried to darken up Superman. They shouldn't have, but whatever. It's just their relationship. They're naturally at each other's throats because they have different opinions, and then you throw Lois into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bruce sums it up very well. She likes Bruce and she likes Superman.
Yeah.
She hates the other guy.
Nice. It's like, what was
It's like,
it?
too bad we can't switch.
We can't switch them up every once in a while.
It's like, yeah, that is your problem. I think that is really more of why they're angry at each other in this, is because they've got it's a very weak love triangle in
Yeah,
this
agreed.
film.
It is
But
very
it's just
weak.
enough. It's like, okay, yeah, Superman's jealous of Batman. Batman is Batman.
Yeah. It's Bruce.
He's Bruce, so I mean, he's doing his thing. It's just how it goes, and it's like, yeah. But their relationship is spot on. How they handle this, you can tell that they work well together.
Mhm.
And what's great about this is this, as we pointed out earlier, this is a very important time for the entire DC animated universe, because this is the first time not just Batman and Superman team up,
Mhm.
but any superheroes in the DCAU team up.
Yeah.
There wasn't many others at this point. Like there were no others at this point.
Yeah.
But it's at this point where where it's kind of suggested that these are part of a bigger, more connected universe.
Mhm.
This is the first time it's confirmed
Yeah.
that these are the same universe, and there's going to be more. There might be more coming, and later on we will get more with the Justice League.
Yeah.
And Justice League Unlimited, along with other shows that are also part of the DCAU, like Static Shock, Batman Beyond,
Mhm.
the Zeta Project, whatever the crap that is. The fact that there is a bigger universe, we're going to get to a point where it's like the entire DC universe is in 2 television shows. We'll show up at least once.
True.
And I'll be honest, it's the DC animated universe that introduced me to the DC universe beyond Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Although I didn't know much about Wonder Woman other than she existed at the time. Wonder Woman to me at the time was, oh yeah, she's that other animated girl that showed up, was on the Super Friends. Next to Aquaman talking to fishes.
True.
Talking to the fishes, I should say.
The fishes.
Namor's better. Anyway. And Namor was first. But yeah, this is, I like that this is an important moment in the entire DCAU. And I'm sorry, this is just my opinion. You can't beat Kevin Conroy as Batman.
No.
You can't beat Tim Daly as Superman.
Yeah.
And when you get right down to it, the DCAU is the gold standard by which, in my opinion, a DC universe should be based on.
Agreed.
It's what I want. Not saying other universes, DC universes, are bad.
Right.
They have their points. But at the end of the day, this is mine. This is the one I want, and I don't really want the other ones.
Understood.
then that's my third like with a little bit of a rambling rant in there to go along with it. So
Okay.
your third and final like?
My third final like actually goes to one scene. I think it the club scene. The club scene where Batman goes to interrogate the one of the Joker's former henchmen.
Oh yeah, the one that escaped because he didn't
Yeah,
want to. He didn't mind working for for Corleone.
yeah,
But Joker's just insane.
just insane. But I mean, like the way they portray Batman, like yeah, Batman is a very brutal, very brutal hero. He's
Yeah.
a very he's the let me get my words right. Be like in this scene, be like I'm watching it for the first time in years.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh my gosh, the kinetic energy they put into Batman as a character. Be like everything it is violent, it is vicious, it is to anybody who comes in contact with this character, you're freaking terrified.
Yeah.
That'd be like it puts that more perspective of how be like Batman was be like he is the knight, be like he is
Yes.
Batman, and that really brings home in that scene where he is literally thrashing everybody
Mhm.
left and right and center. And it's just like he is threatening this man, be like, puts him on the ground and be like, okay, where's the Joker? Tell me where's the Joker.
Yes.
And the guy can't tell him, but he's gonna beat him at him if he tries. And then Superman shows up, and here's the kicker that I was through that blew my mind
Mhm.
the first time I watched it, or this time watching it, was be like Superman puts a hand on Batman. It's like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
And literally, Batman throws Superman.
Yeah.
I was like, what in the world?
Yeah, I
mean,
watched that too. I was like, now wait a minute. How could oh yeah, he's got that kryptonite in his pocket.
And plus,
It's probably just enough and just shielded enough that Superman can't feel it, but it is affecting him.
or also be like he threw Superman off guard and threw him with a judo throw.
Yeah.
And causing him to be thrown into a table. That's why you have this utter shock on Superman's face. It's like, oh my gosh, someone actually threw me.
Yeah, because the thing
And this
about
mortal just threw me.
because the thing about judo is it's not about being stronger than your enemy. It's
Yeah.
about using your enemy's strength against them.
Yeah.
And you've got Batman using Superman's strength against Superman.
Exactly.
No wonder he got thrown.
Yeah. And that next scene where it's where
But at the
It's-
same time, I
yeah.
think he was slightly weakened by the kryptonite.
that's possible. That is possible. And the fact that Superman just comes back and just pegs him into the wall is just like, okay, they you do find that like they kind of equally matched. Now Superman could easily crush Batman,
Oh yeah.
but due to the kryptonite, be like Superman just kind of realizes, oh crap, this guy really has me over the ropes
Mm-hmm.
if he wants to.
Yeah.
And that shows how like balanced these characters are. Is like you have Superman who's the I don't want to say the good old boy, but he's the
I've heard him referred to as the Boy Scout.
he's the Boy Scout. He's the Boy Scout. He does everything right. Batman bends the rules. Be like, I'm gonna get to the truth as fast and hard as I can because I don't care what breaks. I gotta break. Be like, I'm gonna get there.
I will say that why people call Superman the Boy Scout, it's Batman who follows the rule of be prepared.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like about that.
Because it's not Superman. Superman gets confused, gets thrown off, gets game too many times.
That is so true.
because that's the only way they can balance him against anyone else.
that is true because he is like this ultimate. He's an OP character.
He's as strong as the plot needs him to be.
Yeah, like even in this film, you have the fact that like Batman's be like expect the unexpected with the Joker.
Yeah.
And Superman doesn't think that.
No.
And that's what gets him in trouble.
Exactly.
Where Batman is always prepared. He always has some kind of A, B, C through Z plan for it.
yes.
And I just find that so incredibly fascinating with how they do Superman. Superman just goes in there like, yeah, he's prepared with the suit, but he didn't expect to get splashed with acid.
Yeah.
And then get taken down by it.
Which, yeah, the minute, like, okay, he's got kryptonite. Okay, so Superman's obviously going to go get his lead suit, which makes sense. It had been introduced before this episode, so it's not like it came out of nowhere. But it's like, okay, yeah, he's in the suit. Well, this is going to be open and shut, isn't it? It's like, oh wait, this is the Joker.
Yeah.
He's got acid in that flower.
Yep.
Poor Superman.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time before crap's gonna hit the fan.
Oh yeah. And
Because Superman is used to brute forcing his way through most of these
exactly.
fights. And with the Joker, you can't brute force it.
No.
You got to think through it. But anyway.
Yeah, I find the dynamics of these two characters very well done. And in this movie, they show it very well, and it's demonstrated very well and demonstrated to, like you said before, Superman is used to going into a situation where they can't stop him. And this situation, he can't. He has to have help.
By none other than Batman.
The guy who has no powers.
No powers. He's just a very good karate champ dresses like a bat and has a gravelly voice. Except not Kevin Conroy as much. Yeah. He's not Christian Bale.
No.
But anyway.
Nor has he been Affleck.
He's not even Adam West.
Or that sparkly dude.
He's closer to Adam West. Yeah, he's not
Sparklebat.
He's not Twilight Sparklebat. The Batman of friendship. Moving on. Dislikes.
Oh my gosh. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so this comes at a point in time in the overall DCAU where Batman the Animated Series had finished. And they had started the New Adventures of Batman and Robin. And part of that was probably because of Superman the Animated Series being in development, I assume, is they changed the animation styles and redrew many of the characters for Batman and Robin. Well, I disagree, and mostly it's in the villains that you see a lot of the big redesigns.
Right.
What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say it wasn't for Batman and Robin, because Batman and Robin was I believe was like the second season, second or third season. When they changed over, it was the New Adventures of Batman. When they changed everything
but
over.
It's the new. I think of it all as one show.
Okay.
Yeah, it's different from Batman the Animated Series, but it was all redesigned following the end of Batman the Animated Series, and when they made the New Adventures, which, like I said, I suspect they changed it A to make it cheaper, and B so it could fit in with what they were planning for Superman the Animated Series.
Exactly.
But part of what they did to make that happen was they decided to redesign like 90% of all the villains.
Yeah.
For what I will say is absolutely no good reason.
Okay.
And one of the ones they redesigned, and I don't like the redesign, is Joker. Now, on one hand, it's a bad redesign because it's for one thing, I don't like the black cornea with the white pupil. I don't like that. That makes him look more demonic than I think he's even ever intended to be.
Right.
Because, I mean, you do have that one shot while he's flying the Lex swing where it's spot on and he's just like laughing hysterically, but he's facing you. And it's like, that's creepy enough as it is. It's wonderfully creepy. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And that's one of the few times this redesign works. But for the most part, you have this very almost Looney Tunes-esque version of the Joker in terms of character design, standing right next to Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Who is a realistically drawn human.
Yeah.
They don't look like they're from the same cartoon.
Yeah, they contrast.
They contrast too much, in my opinion. It may work, and that's the biggest problem I have with most of the Batman villains they redesigned at this time was they made them more cartoony instead of keeping them in their more Art Deco designs. And that's especially what I remembered from seeing Mr. Freeze there on when we finished when I tried to watch that next episode after Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
He has a much more cartoony kind of design.
Yeah, because this is when he switched over to the New Adventures of Batman.
Yeah, it doesn't work, I think, as well. And here and it would be fine if it was in its own thing and I could maybe live with it. I could section it off. But you got it here with Superman, and you've got him and Lex sharing many scenes together. And really the only times his character really looks and works, I think, is when he finally takes off that stupid hat and you see the green hair. At that point, it works better.
Okay.
But for the most part, he wears the hat the whole time, and he's a very flat looking character relative to everyone else in the scene, Harley included, even though she's from the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just don't really like that redesign of Joker. It just does not work as well. Thankfully, they fixed this later on with the Batman Beyond movie.
Yes, I agree.
They fixed it there, thankfully, when they brought him back. But
yeah,
at this point, it's like, you shouldn't have done that. So yeah, that's my first dislike.
Okay. So my first dislike, well, this is more like the guy who does, this is like my first dislike of this film doesn't really have to do with the film at all. Be like, it happens to do with more trying to find information on this film. There's hardly anything on it.
So you're saying your dislike of this film is the fact that it was the only way they're keeping up with it is 3 episodes of a TV series.
Yeah, pretty much.
I understand that, believe it or not, because research on this film was hard.
It was hard. I'm literally scrolling through Google, can't find anything.
I'll put it this way. Digimon the movie is the one I would have said prior to this one was the hardest movie. That was simple in comparison.
Yeah. You're not having to go through, backdoor checks to do anything on this film.
Good Lord, the Kingdom Hearts connections were very hard, because normally I can just use the collaboration search feature on IMDb to check the movie versus the Kingdom Hearts stuff. I couldn't do that here. I had to literally go to like every Kingdom Hearts game and type in the cast list in the search bar to see if their name showed up.
Really?
And all I got was the one I knew beforehand.
Was Mark Hamill.
Well, I take it back. Corey Burton was additional voices. I didn't mention him and I didn't bring him up here, but that's because he voices like 12 people in Kingdom Hearts and I didn't want to rewrite that down.
Right. So it's like, Warner Brothers has released this as a film. It has released it on DVD and on Blu-ray.
But they don't really keep it up that way.
No, they don't.
And nobody sorts it that way.
No. So yeah, that's my first dislike. Just trying to find information on this film was extremely hard.
Right.
Yeah. So what is your first dislike?
Because it was made as 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was designed to be cut up into 3 episodes for syndication.
Right.
Because of that, you have very hard ends to Act 1 and Act 2.
Yeah, agreed.
And in many ways, while I'm calling Episode 1 Act 1 and Episode 2 Act 2, and for that matter, Episode 3 Act 3, in reality, each one of those episodes is kind of split up into 2 smaller acts. So you've got essentially a 6-act movie being shoved into an hour and a half. And even, I know to some degree, because of the way I watched it by watching the episode separately, I had a hard cut point in my mind. I have a hard cut point in my mind. I don't know if on the version you watched, if it's that obvious.
Yeah, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah, but because I figured it had to be that obvious the way they made it. It's just, it feels like 3 episodes of a TV series in movie format.
Yeah.
Plus, from what you told me earlier, you don't get the awesome, epic Superman, the animated series opening theme, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But anyway, I enjoyed it. It's a good movie. It's just the fact that you've got 3-act structure that feels like it's just baked in and you can't get away from it. And you can just tell it's 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do a good job of editing the episodes to make it feel like one movie, even in the version you watched. That's a detraction for me. And the fact that I had to watch it as episodes. In order to watch the movie complete, I would have had to have paid the $2.99. Why is this version not in HBO Max?
Yeah, agreed.
Disney Plus does the same thing with some of their shows where they'll have, like for instance, most of the ones we've done with Tangled, the series that are 2-parters, were not aired as 2-parters when they were first aired. Yeah, they were aired as
1 episode.
1 episode specials. They don't list those separately, but they list Before Ever After separately, even though in syndication, it was split into episodes, but it was not split as weirdly as this is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you go over to Phineas and Ferb, and they have both Phineas and Ferb, the movie, Across the Second Dimension as a separate film, or you can go into the episodes and find out where they were cut into syndication.
Really?
They have both. Now, they don't do that with the Mission Marvel episode or the Star Wars episode, which is a shame. Those will be on the list eventually. At least one of those will be.
Okay.
But even though you won't know what's going on. But anyway, you won't get half the jokes, I'll say. But if they can do that, they should be able to do that over here. And I don't understand not keeping it separate.
Okay.
I understand both. I understand why you keep it as part of the show, because
right,
that makes sense. It was an actual episode, and if you went from episode 20 to 24 and didn't have a way to explain why it jumped like that, yeah, I understand the issue. But there are going to be points and times where not just us, but somebody out there may want to go, hey, I remember as a kid, I watched a Batman Superman movie called World's Finest. I have HBO Max. It should be there. I can go look for it. And you can't just type in Batman Superman and get this movie.
Yeah.
You have to do research, figure out that it's actually part of Superman the Animated Series, and then find out it's season 2. It's episode whatever the numbers are.
Right.
And then search through here for Superman the Animated Series. Go to season 2 and scroll all the way down near the bottom of the list to find World's Finest at part 1, part 2, part 3.
Yeah.
That's annoying, and it shouldn't be that way.
Agreed.
Even if you don't want to keep them separate, you should be able to type in there should be a special like playlist or something that can be searched for. That's like these 3 episodes as, played one right after each other. You should not have to go to an outside source to find it.
Yeah.
That's part of my other dislike, but it's because of this whole forced 3 episode structure that they had to put it in. Anyway, do you have what's your second dislike?
My second dislike is like watching the film, and granted, this was made in 1997, so like this was shot and developed on film.
Yes.
Okay. So watching, like, going through my viewing of Batman the Animated Series of all 4 seasons, you have like little bits and pieces where there's grain fuzz every once in a while.
Yeah, it's a much darker show, so there's going to be more grain. There's going to be more compression artifacts.
Yeah, compression. So I'm watching this film. Granted, it's digital. It's a digital version of this film.
Yeah,
and my thought would be, it's like, okay, they've cleaned it up, they've done something to it. No, like literally, like through the third act, the third episode, there's a line literally where there's a scratch in the film, and there's debris all over it. Now, granted, it's minor, but it's there. It's literally in a white background, and it's literally this little sliver that's just this. The entire, it drove me nuts.
That is one advantage that the Superman animated series on HBO Max has, is I think they went through and did a full digital remaster of the entire series, and that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So
I would have caught that. If it's as bad as you're saying it is, I would have been like, oh my, that's bad.
Yeah, it was bad. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. So I'm presuming ever since they've gone back and remastered Batman the Animated Series, they remastered Batman Beyond,
and Superman the Animated
Superman Animated Series. This was before they did the remaster.
Yeah. Well,
so that makes sense.
And probably, and I can see that from a money making point of view and how you spend money for these remasters. I almost guarantee you that they decided that since they had already remastered these episodes as part of Superman the Animated Series, and people can just go watch it there's no point in remastering the separate version where it's all edited together.
Yeah.
So what you're watching is a old tape master from when it was sent to broadcast out to all the WB stations back in the day.
Yeah.
And it's just you're probably still looking at 480i.
Yeah, probably.
Image the entire time too.
Yeah.
Whereas I watched it and I assumed 1080p.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, so that was just more of an annoyance.
Yeah. I get that.
knowing there's remasters of this entire
maybe not,
thing.
maybe not 1080p, but at
No.
least a digital cleanup.
Yeah, it was a digital cleanup at least, but it was just I found that a little annoying. That was about it.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I don't have a third dislike.
Okay.
Do you
Nor
have a
do
third
I.
dislike?
Nor do
Okay,
I.
well, then we'll just continue on from here. I'm giving this movie an 8.
Okay.
It is a very fun movie. The main reason I am docking it any points for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
outside of the Joker redesign, which is just a fact of life that I would have to get over either way.
Right.
It's that 3 act. It's the fact that it is 3 episodes
Mm-hmm.
edited together into one film, and it's like it's no longer a film at that point. If you have to watch it separately, it's not a film, and you can. And from what you told me, you can tell where the episode separations are
Yeah.
in the film. So it's like, that's disappointing.
Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah, I'm giving it an 8 because while it is a good film, it's not actually a film. It's 3 episodes of a TV show.
I agree.
So that's the biggest issue. That's why it's an 8. It's as a story, it's a great story. It's a great version of these 2 characters coming together. Unfortunately, now it's not technically a movie.
Yeah.
It's 3 episodes. For a 3 episode arc, it's great. It's a 8.
Yeah. So mine, I go up a little further. Mine's an 8.5. There again, it's a great story, great, team up of, the world's finest of Batman and Superman. That's a better story than Batman v Superman. Let's say that in a lot of ways.
Which is odd because, not to get too much onto it, at least they're based on the same story.
They are based on the same story.
The only difference is that Batman versus Superman throws in the storylines of Injustice to some degree and Doomsday.
Yeah.
Which is leading into the death of Superman because they wanted to end on the death of Superman.
Right.
Spoilers for a movie we're never going to review outside of what you heard today.
Right.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So it's just be like, I love the story for itself. The plot lines, how it flows, minus you have the telltale signs of be like, this is originally designed as 3 episodes. They just spliced together.
Right.
And it's very, 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 there's no be like, oh, they threw in a little money to make this more look like a film. But overall, I really enjoy this. So it's an 8.5.
Okay. That brings us to the end of this episode, which means we need to announce what our next movie is.
Yes.
A movie that you don't like. Or you have told me in the past that you do not like.
I'm gonna definitely go back and rewatch this to like maybe change my opinion or keep the same opinion I had before.
That will be interesting.
Yes.
I think we may have found the movie that I liked that he hated.
Maybe.
We'll see.
We'll see.
But that movie is Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. To which the trivia question for this week is, according to the opening credits, who made this film?
Oh, I don't know. I have to go back.
I'm not talking about the director. I ain't talking about the writers or the animation studio. I am talking about in the opening credits, it says a film by. What is the next line?
I'll figure out when I rewatch it.
Exactly. So join us then. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page Drew's Photo Bin to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell, with a single L.
When you have to go out with a smile.